Welcome back to the Wizard Shop, and today we're going to check out these really cool carbon copies. Well, this is the Lexus and this Mercedes right here. We're going to check these out.
Car Wizard, come on. You're supposed to be the car wizard.
Wait a minute.
Dude. Yeah.
Yeah, this one's the Mercedes. Okay, we're doing the Mercedes and the Lexus today. We're going to check these out, and they're so similar. You guys are going to be shocked. Let's get started. So yes, I know it is very confusing. I looked at these a minute ago and it was like my brain froze up. I was like, which one's which? Obviously, this is a 2005 Lexus LS 430. It's in here just for a serpentine belt and some pulleys. It's a simple job, and then it's back out the door. But it was sitting next to Tyler Hoover's of Hoovy's Garage S500 Coupe. This is a 140 chassis Mercedes, which is exactly what Lexus was trying to copy, imitate, almost down to the very curves, lines, the lenses on the headlights, everything. It looks really, really close. It was so close when they were sitting next to one another, I said, I have to do a video on this. This is crazy. This is really crazy. So we're going to go ahead and walk around the Lexus, talk about it, then we'll move over to the S500 Coupe. Let's go ahead and start on front. So these cars are 8 years apart, but they still look so similar. This has bigger wheels. This was the styling in 05. They started going to bigger wheels, and little things are different. Obviously this one's a 4-door. That one's a 2-door. But even if it were a 4-door to match this one, it's really not a whole lot different. The taillights and the front end is really what I'm getting at on these comparisons. But this one's in pretty good shape. It's not all dinged up or beat up on the front. We'll go around and look through the side here. It's dirty because it drove up here, and our roads are really salty right now. But the curvature of the roof line kind of looks Japanese. It looks Lexus-ish. And it's in good shape as well on this side. But as we come around to the back, look guys, look at the taillights. It's almost identical. The trunk lid does cut through the taillights on the Lexus. That's a lot different. But to someone who's not a car guru or a gearhead, and if you took the badges off of these cars, they honestly would be confusing. You would be like, I really don't know which one is which. To someone who's uninitiated with cars, they really would get them confused. The same silver banding, almost the same font. They've got the same type of lettering, a circular insignia on the trunk lid. Very, very similar. Here we are, silver trim at the belt line. Silver trim at the belt line. As we move on down, it has a little sensor there for the key, same as it does here. The color is very similar. It's got spoked wheels. This one's a 6-spoke, and these would be 5-spoke. So on the grille, the center grille, it has the same angles. The headlight is kind of a triangular shape as it goes out, just like this one. Now they're not going to be identical. If they were to make an identical car, they would get sued. But it is so close. It's very similar. Even the parking sensors. I mean, it's just really close, guys. It's crazy. Let's go ahead and take a look at this car and walk around Hoovy's Garage S500. This one was just here for a quick little blower motor resistor, and then it's back out the door. But this one is in very good shape. He loves this S500. He likes it a lot. It's kind of the rare coupe. The rear is in good shape, and again, it looks just like the Lexus over there. It looks crazily similar. The gas filler doors are different. This one's on the passenger side. That one was on the driver's side. And that just has to do with this one's European and this one's Asian. They're so similar, they look so close, but as soon as we get into the interior, they're worlds apart. They're nothing alike. So I think what Lexus was going for is, as it drives by really fast, you say, oh, there goes a Mercedes. No, it wasn't a Mercedes-Benz. It was a LS430. Let's take a look at the interior. You'll see what I mean. So starting with the gauge cluster, you can see the iconic Mercedes gauges. They've been that way since the late 70s, maybe even earlier than that. But you can find that same font, the same styling in the 80s, and here we are in the 90s. The dash is in very good shape. It is also very European. Everything in here looks to be European styled because it is a European car. That's pretty evident. Our climate control here, they've been using that style all through the 90s. It's very common, iconic Mercedes. Also the radio. You can see it's missing the shifter knob cap, but that's not a big deal. All the window switches and everything are all Mercedes-Benz. And the seats are in good shape, and they have kind of a sporty bolster to them. It's made for a little bit of sportiness, but also comfort. These seats are very comfortable, and they are made very, very well. You can tell that they put some time and effort into engineering these seats. These are the 140 chassis seats, and they are very, very nice. In the back has a nice center console. It has the same sporty style seats. They are comfortable, but yet sporty at the same time. And it has nice carpeted sail panels, headliner, and also our pillars here are nice and carpeted and soft. Very, very nice. Let's head on over to the Lexus and compare. Now we're sitting in the Lexus and we see a stark difference. No longer do we look like a Mercedes-Benz. It looks like an Asian car in here. It looks like a Lexus. It has the much updated gauges, which, because that makes sense, this is a 2005. This totally does not look Mercedes-Benz at all. This is all Japanese car. The center console is probably real wood, but it just doesn't look very engaging. It doesn't give you that quality feel to say, yes, this is a quality luxury European car. It's got this staggered shifter that's also found in Toyotas and Lexuses, Infinitis. That's definitely not Mercedes. And these seats are not sporty at all. They're for wide, fat American butts like I have. That's what they had in mind when they made these seats, not skid pad performance or 0 to 60. They didn't care about that in this car. In some of the articles that I've read, the engineer who designed this car said they tried to mimic electric train, the fast bullet trains in Japan. No, they didn't. They were trying to mimic a W140. They just didn't want to admit it. They caught a lot of flack when they designed this car and it came out and it looked just like a 140 chassis Mercedes. They almost got in a lot of trouble. A lot of people complained. They're like, oh, it looks like a bullet train. No, it doesn't look like a bullet train. It looks like a Mercedes-Benz. And as we move to the back, you can see they have a baby seat in there, but again, wide, fat American butt seats. And some of the wood trim I talked about that's not too impressive. It's decent, it looks good, but it's not all that great. So we have the cloth headliner, the cloth pillars. That is similar to the Mercedes. This up here is not in the Mercedes. The dome light and all the garage buttons and sunglasses holder, that's not in that car. But this is a more modern 2005. These gauges right here, the clock and the temperature, that's Honda, Toyota, Lexus. So let's take a look at the engines. Let's compare the engines. Here we have the Lexus 4.3 3UZ FE V8. It has 290 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque, which is pretty impressive for a 4.3 liter. It's actually very similar to the S500 that we'll take a look at here in a minute. They got a lot of plastic panels and things in the way. They don't want you messing with anything, but it's also very similar on the Mercedes when we take a look at that. Right now we have the serpentine belt off and some of the pulleys. We're waiting on the parts to show up. Yeah, that's all it's here for. We'll get it repaired and get it out the door. One thing I noticed when I opened the Lexus hood is it feels flimsy, very plasticky, and it feels like if I tried hard enough I could just fold it in half with my arms. That's not so on this Mercedes-Benz. This is metal. And this is the 5-liter V8, being it's an S500. It has 315 horsepower and 347 pound-feet of torque. It is more power than the Lexus, but not drastically more power, but yet the engine is almost a full liter bigger. But again, this is older technology. The Lexus has much upgraded timing chains and cam timing and all those things going on. This engine's much easier to work on, to me anyway. Everything's accessible with the serpentine belt. You can see here that you can get to everything really, really easily. Let's go take a look at the Lexus. We have to take this shield off, but once you do, there's a lot of things that have to come off. You have to take this intake snorkel off. It's really close to the radiator. It's not much harder, but it is a little bit more difficult to do than dealing with the Mercedes-Benz. So as far as durability goes, both of these cars are very similar. These W140 chassis with their engines are very durable. They can go 100, 150,000 miles. I've worked on some that have over 200 and they're running perfect. They run very well. And this essentially is a Toyota underneath, and you guys know how I feel about Toyotas. If you want quality and you don't want to be working and dinking around with your car every weekend, fixing this and fixing that, a Toyota or a Lexus is really the way to go. But there is a lot of shortcomings on this car. I want to show you just opening the door, the actual inside of the door. I want to show you guys that there's a huge difference in quality. Let's take a look at the Lexus first. So I'll go ahead and open this door up. It just looks like a standard door off of a Ford Focus or a Chevy Cobalt or any other car that's out there. It's just a standard door, which really doesn't seem that big of a deal until we take a look at the Mercedes. Now we're going to see a big difference. Chrome-plated steel. That is not on every car in America. That is on a Mercedes-Benz. The sill plates as well, where it says Mercedes-Benz, is also metal, brushed steel. Let's take a look at the Lexus. This one looks like metal. It's actually just a coating over plastic. It's kind of a coating, but it's still plasticky. So here we have the trunk open on the Lexus, and it looks like your typical Toyota Camry. Really not that big of a deal. It opens and closes like any other car. And when you close it, it locks itself. It's typical trunk. Not so on the Mercedes. Let's take a look. So I'm going to open the trunk on the Mercedes, and you're going to notice something changes, something different that you didn't see on the Lexus. This little lever pops out. It's actually a little grab handle. Let me do that again so you can see it up close. When I go to push the button, open the trunk, this little grab handle comes out. The reason why is because someone who owns a Mercedes-Benz, when they go to close their trunk, they're not going to put their grubby mitts all over the paint and put fingerprints all over their car. They're going to grab it by the grab handle, close it, and walk away. Clean and easy. You don't find that on the Lexus. One thing that doesn't really make a big difference in the operation of the car, it's just aesthetics. Things that you notice that there's some engineering that went into. It's just the way that these fans and this air intake for the radiator is designed. It looks like something you would see on a Mars rover. Very well thought out, very well designed. It is a lot of engineering behind that. The reason why they put these grills, the reason why they arranged everything. The horns are very tidy and faced forward to blare at the traffic. Another thing you'll notice on this is solid glass. Real glass that doesn't turn yellow over time. And it has wipers. I don't know that these are functional anymore, but these always seem to break on the Mercedes. But it does have wipers when you do the windshield washer to wash your windows. These will also clean the lenses on the headlights. Now we come over here to the Lexus, and it's like a big letdown. It's like, oh, it looks like a Camry. The horns face down. There's really no engineering. It's like there's the condenser and a bracket to help hold it in place. That's it. There's not much to speak of. There's nothing there. But as we come to the headlights, you can see they're starting to yellow, and they're plastic. And these are starting to get some kind of corrosion around the edges of the lenses. We'll take a look at this one over here as well. Right in here, you can see the plastic is starting to discolor really badly. and it's going to get worse. They make kits to clean these and make them look nice and clean and clear again, but you don't have to do that on the Mercedes because they don't do this. They're solid glass. These also don't have wipers, so when you get mud and stuff all over the lens, tough. It's too bad. Get out and clean it off with your hands if you want it cleaned. So if you're in the market for a car of this size and you like this styling, but you don't want the Mercedes prices of repairs, the parts, and the labor rates are going to be higher for sure. I'm not bashing the Lexus. It's actually a very nice car. It's basically a Toyota that's scaled up to match and kind of go after the character and the styling of a W140 Mercedes-Benz. So thanks for following along on this really cool Mercedes and this here Lexus LS430.
Wizard, do you know your cars?
Okay, Mercedes S500, Lexus LS430. There we go.
Congratulations.
Yep. So now we got that sorted out. I'm glad you guys could follow along and see some of the differences. Yes, it does look like a Mercedes, and if it drives by at 70 miles an hour, an uninitiated person would say they did see a Mercedes. In fact, if it was a 911 call and the 911 dispatcher says, "Can you describe the vehicle that you saw do this or that?" the person would probably say it was a Mercedes. I saw a Mercedes go by really fast. No, it wasn't a Mercedes. It is a very good car. I really like these, but it is not a Mercedes-Benz. So if you're curious what kind of tools we use to work on these, check my Amazon affiliates link in the description below. All my tools in the shop are listed for sale there. We get a small cut. We really appreciate that. If you haven't hit the subscribe button already, I really recommend you do that now. We got many more cool videos to come out of the shop. Yacht videos, Oldsmobile, Malibu, we got a lot of updates coming. Thanks for watching.